Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This is another video in my series of practice sessions for the Red Hat Certified Systems Administrator exam. And this video is going to be about the objective create and configure set-GID directories for collaboration, which is under the create and configure file systems subheading for objectives. I want to remind you that this is not necessarily designed to be authoritative information, as I'm still in my learning process for the exam, but I do try to make it as accurate as possible. Feel free to leave any comments or questions. I'll try to answer as best I can, or if I've got something wrong in the video, feel free to mention that in the comments as well, because A, I want to make sure that I have the right information going into my exam, and B, people that are watching the video I'm sure would appreciate having accurate information as well. Just a reminder, if you enjoy the content of the video, make sure you click like. Also, don't hesitate to subscribe and ring the bell when you do, so you can be aware of when new content comes available. So to be able to demonstrate using set-GID, we're going to need to make a couple of users and groups. I'm going to try to be a little clever about this, and we're going to make some test users. So we're going to do for I in user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. Do a little loop here. We're going to user add I. Of course, I'm not doing this as root, so let's try this again. Thought I was going to be clever, and alas, security has thwarted me. Apparently I keep fat fingering my password as well. It's turning out to be a rather poor video. Alright, so let's try this again. For I in user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. Do user add I and done. Alright, set-GID tail in 5. Alright, so there are, so I made user 1, user 2, user 4. Can't grumble. Alright, user del, user add, user 3. There we go, even though a little bit out of order, but that's fine. So I also want to make a password for these, and I think I can do this. So let's try for I in user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. Pass-WD I STN, and let's see, I think I can just do this. We're going to just set their password to, let's do test pass, see if that works. Odd. I expected that to loop through. Anyway, I can do this real quick. Pass-WD user 1 and test pass. Test pass. Yep. There has to be a more efficient way of doing this. If there is, put that in the comments. So I would love to, if I had to do this on the exam, be able to do this a little quicker than what I'm doing right now. I guess standard in would be if you have a script and it's using the read command. Anyway. Alright, so I'll wait. User 4, test, pass, test, pass. Okay, so now they all have passwords, even though I guess technically I didn't need that since I'm going to be doing stuff as root. We're also going to make two groups, and let's do group add dev group add sysadmin, and we're going to add some groups to that. So user mod AG, and we're going to dev, we'll do user 1. We'll make user 3 and 4 sysadmins. All right, so we have our students do get int so we now have our users, and then if I were to do get int group tail get int ent, then we have our two groups that we've made. So the idea with set-GID, that's a particular permission, and what it does is if set-GID is on a directory, then when you create files in that directory, the ownership of the file is going to be the same as whatever the group owner of the directory is. In case in point, if I were to make dir sysadmins, oh wait, I don't want to do that there. I want to make it at root sysadmins, make dir devs. All right. And if I were to ls-l root, or just literally the root, we see sysadmins and devs owned by root. All right. Now, the whole idea here is we need to create, configure, set-GID directories for collaboration. If I were to give the individual groups the rights to be able to write to these directories, the group members will be able to work with that. However, they won't be able to manipulate each other's files. And let me show you what I mean by that. So let me go and do chown. We're just going to be doing the group sysadmin to sysadmins, dev to devs. So now we see sysadmin and dev are the owners, and we're going to give group plus write permission to each of these. All right, so now the groups, oops, did that to the probably should have named that something other than dev. So chmod g minus w to the actual dev directory, change mode g plus w to the devs plural directory. All right, that looks more accurate. So we're going to make another tab here. And in this tab, I'm going to su into user 1. And we're going to make another tab. I'm going to su, I'm using -l because I want to actually do this as a login shell. User 2, and all right, so I have user 1 and user 2, and I know that they are a part of the dev group. So let's go into the dev directory, which both of them should be able to do. And we're going to make a file. So I'm going to echo user 1's file, user1.txt. permission denied. That's odd. Because you should. Yeah, I made a mistake with this. Let's do this again. Clearly, I did not think through the directories that I wanted to use very well. All right, so now I'm in devs, echo user1's file, user1.txt. If you're curious what happened before, I was actually in the dev directory, which they cannot write to the dev directory. And let's do this user2's file. All right. And notice the ownership of this. All right, so as you would expect, the user that created it is the user owner, and that user's primary group is the group owner of the file. And then other does not have any type of access other than reading. So if I wanted, I could cat test1.txt. So I thought test2. I can cat test2.txt. But if I were to try to VI into that, it's going to tell me it's read only. All right, and this is normal behavior. So how we solve that is through the set-GID bit. And what that's going to do is make it to where when you make a file, the group owner of the directory is going to be the group owner of the file. So let's set that. So we'll do change mode G+S for set-GID. We're going to do that on devs. And if you notice on the devs directory, we now have an S there, which stands for that set-GID. So now if user1 we do that, that's minus L. Notice how dev now has read-write. And if you're a member of that group, you'll be able to read and write to it. So let's go over to user2. And obviously read it. We don't get the warning about it being read-only. Here's user2's contribution. We'll write that, and let's go back to user1. And there we go. So another way to set GID, and we're going to do this on the sysadmins directory, is by using octal notation. So typical octal notation, you have your 3 bits that can be 4 for read, 2 for write, 1 for execute. And then you have something called the sticky bit, which you can put a 1 preceding that, and that sets the sticky bit, which is usually shown as a T in the others category. If you were to do a 2 with the octal notation at the beginning, that stands for the set-GID, and then a 4 would be the set-UID if we did that. So if I wanted to do that for sysadmins, I could do change mode and then 2, and I want to keep the same, so that'll be 2775 to sysadmins. If I do the directory correct, ls-l, and we see that the set group ID has been done. Now, one thing to note, these will obviously persist, but in the dev directory, if I were to ls-l or devs directory, we see that the original files still have the original group owner. So if I wanted to change that, what I would need to do in the devs directory, change mode and -R, actually it's capital R I think for change mode. Let me make sure, man, change mode. I was doing a little practice the other day, and I was all torn up because I did my R wrong. Yep, change mode is one of these where it's capital R. So change mode -R. Set ID is already there, but what this is going to do is set it for everything recursively. Wait, G plus X. That's not what I wanted. I wanted G plus S. X is already there. All right, and let's take a look. Yeah, I didn't want to give them execute. So change mode -R, G minus X, devs, ls-l devs. Okay, that's odd. That has set-GID capitalized. Something that I found when I'm working with octal notate, or I guess that R must have done that just for directories. So when in doubt, I go back to my good old octal notation. Change mode recursive 2775 devs. That's what I want. Curious if that has this yellow. I wonder why that is. It'll be something I have to look up. If you happen to know, feel free to put that in the comments. But now that I'm thinking about it, let us make, let's go ahead, well, I can do this as root. So we'll touch test file sysadmins test file 1.txt ls-l sysadmins. Okay, that makes sense for UMask, right? So RWS. Ah, I see. Okay, now I get what's happened. I can't believe it's taken me this long to figure it out. Some of you watching the video are probably like, well, Eddie, look what you're doing. So Linux did exactly what I told it to. It recursively set the set-GID bit to everything in devs, and that's not actually what I wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was change the owner of the current files that are in there. So let's fix my mistake here. So on the files themselves, so let's do change mode. This is going to be, I guess this will be 665. Well, let's look at this. UMask 002. So that will be 664. So we want change mode 664 devs star. Okay, so that has fixed permissions. And now let's do what I intended to do, which was chown. I think this is where I have two different recursive options, if I remember right. One of these has it. Nope, capital R. I'm thinking of something where lowercase r does one type of recursive and uppercase R does another. But anyway, we'll do chown dev. Actually, I'm not going to do -r. I'm going to do what I did there. Devs star devs, and that solved the problem. Okay, so I created my own problem, but then ended up solving it. So I guess I should consider that a win. Ultimately, for this session, though, the reason why you would do the set-GID again is to give that ownership to the group for files that are made in directories. So that way, when the individual members of a group make their file, the other group members will be able to read, write, execute, or whatever permissions that you have allowed for the particular files. And the way that we're going to do that is either by using a 2 when we're doing the octal notation at the beginning, or the G plus S for the set-GID bit. Hopefully you found this useful. Maybe you got a little humor out of my obvious mistake with doing permissions there. Regardless, make sure you click like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to leave comments and such. I love hearing some feedback. And thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.